we want to spend a little time tonight to talk about this because I believe that I want to take this time to, when I use this platform, I want to take this time to talk about real relevant things, things that are actually going on, stuff that we are really dealing with. I don't want to just powwow with the word, that type of stuff. I always like to be a relevant preacher. I like to be somebody that, all I know is life experiences, and things that I have had to face, things that I am facing, that type of stuff like that. So I want to talk about real life, actual things that are going on and how do we respond to these things. And so as I was sitting here, I sat down. It was late tonight to be able to sit down. It was actually 8:50 before I was able to sit down and just say, okay, God, where are we going to go? I had to get everything situated. And so this is the thing the Lord wanted me to talk about tonight, and even as on a personal, even on a personal, transparent level, to deal with these type of things tonight. So we understand, let me give you the definition first of the word grace. Grace is the strength of God. It is the strength of God or the ability of God. This is the definition that the Lord gave me as it relates to the word grace. It is the strength or the ability of God, which means that it is something that you cannot do on your own. It is that thing that caused Samson to be able to whoop these people with the jawbone of an ass. It is a supernatural strength. It is the ability of God. So when you're dealing with situations as to where you have to extend grace, it means that this is something that is beyond me. I've got to extend grace to someone that would just deliberately hurt me, or someone that would try to tear me down, or whatever, coming from a perspective of a place I wouldn't have ever thought that it would have come from. So that is a place where you have to extend grace. A lot of times we would say that we have to extend mercy. Mercy is the forgiveness of God, and that is something that is actually within our ability. Some people tend to think that we need God in order to give us to the ability to forgive. Well, I want to beg to differ on that situation. The forgiving is not necessarily the part where we need God so much, and a lot of times we have prayed and asked God, Lord, please help me to forgive. God, please help me to. Well, the forgiveness is a decision that we have to make, where we have to go, where the issue is going beyond the forgiveness. That's the place. I want y'all to let me get in here with you tonight to talk about it. I really believe I've been anointed to do it, and the reason I believe is because God gave me this word on this morning, and I posted it on Facebook in order to know that I would talk about it tonight. And I tell you, hell broke loose today in several different places with an attempt to cause me to have to deal with the very things that I would have to talk about tonight. I'm telling you, when I tell you, I literally wrote this down. Listen, check this out. This is what I titled this tonight, When It Hits Home. This is the title that I gave this tonight, When It Hits Home. When you have to deal with situations of where you would talk to people and help people to get through, to navigate things, but you have to let them see you navigate through it first. You come through it, you have to understand, in order for you to teach anything, for you to preach anything, you have to be first partaker of that thing. You can't serve people something you haven't done with, then you just you're a liar. You haven't. You're serving something you haven't even eaten, so you don't know the flavor of it, the taste of it. You don't know what it will do, how it is going to affect the body or whatever. But when you have dealt with it yourself, then it comes a power on you to be able to help. Case in point, let's get back to me helping you understand about forgiveness. When you have forgiven for real, then grace will come upon you to be able to deal with the situation or the circumstance. When you have really forgiven, that's when grace can show up. Grace they walk together, but grace can only show up in a situation where forgiveness is. If you understand and follow me, where forgiveness is, if we have to make the decision to administer the forgiveness, and then once we say I forgive, or we bring ourselves into proper alignment concerning the forgiveness, then grace can step in, which is the ability to go beyond that situation, to not desire to see any type of retaliation, any form of something to come. Really, personally, to be honest, just to say this out of my own heart and say to you all, there are some things that I have had to deal with in recent times that I pray don't even have to happen to those that would have either spoke against me or either would have literally thrown me into situations, because you can have stuff to happen as to where people will throw you into situations. Remember how they threw Daniel into the lion's den, how they threw Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego into the fiery furnace. So there is situations that will happen in life as to where people will literally throw you into stuff. That is where they are devising, or they are wanting to see some things happen to you. Well, but then there are situations, as to where a life just comes about and you deal with things. So whether dealing with it on any aspect, there has to be an element of where forgiveness comes in, and you don't want to see them have to go through the type of stuff that they would desire to see to happen to you. So that's how, that is the place as to where I try to keep myself, I try to be at that place concerning things, as to say, well, I don't know, I don't want to see them have to suffer that right there, because a lot of times people are not built for what they think they're built for. I need y'all to hear me. A lot of times people are not built for what they think they're built for. Case in point, case in point. Let me go ahead and go there right quick, and show you what I'm talking about. I'm going to go ahead and go there. I'm going to just keep your, keep your bookmark right there at Ephesians 6. But let me run on over to Proverbs chapter 6, and let me show you what I'm talking about. Proverbs chapter 6, and I'm always reading more than likely out of the KJV, which is the King James Version. So Proverbs chapter 6, let me show you what I'm talking about here. Let me show you what I'm talking about. Proverbs chapter 6, a lot of times people think they are built for something, but they're really not built for it. They'll say some things, but really not built for the backlash or what will come behind it. Proverbs chapter 6 says this right here: "Thou art snared." It's talking about the individual, you, me. It says, "Thou art snared with the words of who mouth?" It says thy mouth. It did not say your neighbor's mouth. It did not say what somebody else says, but it says what we say. It says, "Thou art snared with the words of thy mouth." Then goes on and says, "Thou art taken with the words of thy mouth." So thy words, the things that come up out of our mouths is the thing that will cause us to be snared. Now, to be snared literally means to be trapped or to be entangled. So it means that my mouth can get me in a situation as to where I'm having to deal with all types of situations and circumstances, because I have literally put my mouth on something. I have literally spoke against something. Now, please understand this, that, the mouth, the mouth is connected to the heart. So let me help y'all to understand that. So let's get a scripture for that, because I'm going to walk the word with it tonight. Let's get a scripture with that so that you understand, because a lot of times, people think that, let's stay in the word with it. Let's stay in the word. So let's stay in the word with it. How about we go over now and let's grab Matthew? Let's see. Let's go to Luke. Let's go to Luke. Let's see. Luke chapter 6. Luke chapter 6. Luke chapter 6. And let's go to, let's see, it's verse 45. Luke chapter 6 and verse 45. Let's go to it. Let me show you about how the mouth and the heart are in correlation with each other. Because a lot of times as people, this is what we'll say: "Well, I just kept my mouth closed. I ain't going to say nothing. I'm just going to zip it. I ain't going to say nothing." But if your heart if it's in your heart, it might as well come on out your mouth. So let me show you what I'm talking about in the scripture. It's going to be real good tonight, y'all. I'm just relevant. That's all I know to be. I'm who I am. I ain't trying to be nobody else. I'm me. I'm going to talk to you and tell you some real life stuff. I'm going to show you how to get through some battles, because I have to tread through some things, man. I have to fight through some stuff, and I plan on coming out a winner, you know. I plan on coming out the head and not the tail, above only and not beneath. So if you listen to me, like my mama said, you can learn a lot from a dummy if you just learn to listen and submit yourself. Look, check this out. Luke chapter 6 verse 45 says this: a good man out of the good treasure of his heart bringeth forth that which is good. And an evil man out of the evil treasure of his heart bringeth forth that which is evil. It's talking about the heart. Then it goes to say, for out of the abundance of the heart, his mouth speaketh. That's what it says. You see it in the text. Luke chapter 6 verse 45. You see it in the text, because we're quick to say, I just didn't say nothing. But your heart spoke it. See, it came out of your heart. Well, I didn't say I hate them, but your heart exemplified the hate. It was something that was down inside of the heart. So it's not always about things coming out of the mouth. That's where the enemy is deceiving us. That's where he's tricking us. And we're so, I ain't said nothing. Well, your heart done showed it. See, because look what it says again, Luke chapter 6 verse 45. We're in the word. Let's walk the word. A good man out of the good treasure of his heart bringeth forth how? Out of his mouth that which is good. And an evil man out of the evil treasure, look what he called it, a treasure, out of his heart bringeth forth what? Bringeth forth that which is evil. For of the abundance of the heart his mouth speaketh. And so we have to understand that we have got certain things, y'all, that we've got to make sure that we guard. The enemy is after the condition of our heart. He wants to get in to deal with our heart. If he can shut us down in the realm of things concerning our heart, if he can get circumstances and situations to sit and settle in our heart, then he can cause some things to come out of our mouth. And then the scripture says in Proverbs, which we just read, that out of the abundance of, no, it says that we are snared. We are snared by the words of our mouth. So this is the thing about it. We are having to watch and pay attention to the things that come out of our mouth. So the posing thought today was, is it difficult or is it easy for you to handle situations when someone has done something to hurt you? Do you find yourself retaliating, or is it easy for you to just release that thing and put it in the hand of God? Which one is it? Is it easy for you to release it, or is it a difficult situation for you to do? Which one is it? Is it easy, or is it a difficult situation for you to be able to do? Which one? So we want to talk about it. Those of you that are on Facebook, you can come over to Zoom if you want to join the Q&A, because we're going to talk about it after we're done with this. We're going to talk about it. If you need to know how to get in on the Zoom, if you would just go to my page on Facebook, go up under the live. There is a post that I made with the information on how you can get in on Zoom. You can dial in, or you can download the video and be able to get in, so we can talk about it, because these are things that we have to know how to deal with. These are situations and circumstances that we have to know how to deal with, to navigate. If you think that as a Christian you're not going to have to deal with this, then you're sadly mistaken, because everything that the scripture talks about are things that we're going to deal with, things that we're going to have to know how to navigate through. So again, grace is the strength of God. Understand, let me run it back through again so that you can understand. Grace and mercy, which are the two things that we talk a lot about. Now, the grace is the strength of God. The mercy is the forgiving power, which is something that we can exercise within ourselves. We have to make a decision to forgive. God is not going to force us to forgive anybody. We have to make a decision to forgive, regardless of what the nature of the situation is. We have to make a decision to say that I forgive them, or I forgive myself. There are times when you will have to forgive yourself because of the way you handled a situation or didn't handle a situation. And when that comes to play, that is when you have gotten a revelation of how you should have did something or should have handled a situation, and you did not handle it properly. I did not handle it properly. That is when we will have to come with a forgiveness of